in your FT102. That's where we should just do this. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to show you how to change the lamps in your FT102. It can look like a daunting challenge because there's two of them here behind the logging scale and the VFO. And your first glance at this thing, you're going to go, oh my God, how do I get to those? They're buried so deep inside the radio. But it's really not a bad task. We're going to start by taking out the fluorescent display board. Don't be afraid of this. All of these connectors are laid out in a logical sense. You've got one here on TP101. You've got a little 4-pin connector here, and I'm grabbing this by the connector, not by the wires. That one's out. This little red and black one came out. We'll get down here, pull this guy out. That one. And this one. Now all the connectors are loose, and they all fall back where they belong. Don't worry, you won't mix them up. Next we have to remove 3 screws. 1, 2, and 3. And we'll pull this board out of here. So let me get this. I've removed the 2 screws here, and I've loosened the 1 screw here. You don't actually have to take that one out at this point. Now carefully, because the nipple for the vacuum display is on the top here, just slide this back, unhook it from that rear screw, carefully work it up past the filter capacitors and slide it back, and there's your fluorescent display, and there's your little glass nipple. We don't want to break that. We'll probably never get a replacement for this unless we have a donor radio, so I'm going to set this safely aside. In order to have enough room to slide the VFO back and get it out, I'm going to remove this post. That has to come out to allow you enough room to slide the VFO far enough back to be able to get it free of the radio and get to the lamps. Yep, I might have to stick my finger on the screw on the other side here. Actually, that might be back far enough, just leaning back like that. Okay, now I have to turn the radio over. Just before we turn the radio over, I forgot something here. Forgot to show you something. Pull this connector from the side of the VFO. This is the only actual electrical connection to the VFO. That's power in and signal out. There's a little coax cable and a couple of power leads right in this one connector. If you want, you can release the little metal wrap that's around the lamps, but you don't have to do that at this point if you don't want to. Now we flip the radio upside down. We loosen this screw, and then to the left and right of those 2 screws down below, straight down the side, are 2 more screws. There's one on this side, one on this side. Don't touch this one. There's no need to touch that screw. Do not remove these screws. Only loosen them about 2 turns, and that's all that's necessary to get the VFO out. And you might want to also remove the main tuning knob. The main tuning knob being removed, leave the metallic one alone. You don't need to remove that, but you might want to remove this. It gives you a little extra wiggle room to get the VFO through the hole and up and out. And to get that off, you remove the little rubber band, and there'll be a set screw down inside one of these holes. The other hole is a blank. There's no set screw in it. There's only one set screw. Slide the knob off. Loosen these 2 screws. Oops, got to get you back in frame here. Loosen these 2 screws and the ones that's down here and the one that's down in here. And we'll pick it up in a minute. With the 4 screws loosened, flip the radio back over so it's right side up, and carefully lift this wiring harness away from the capacitors. It'll give you a little extra room to move the VFO to the back, and very carefully just lift it. And the only thing holding it now are the wires on the lamps. And if you undid this, ouch, sharp. Now you can get in there with a pair of needle nose pliers and carefully pull the lamps. Yeah, see if we can show you. You can carefully pull the lamps out of those little green grommets that are in there. That's what makes the display look green. They're little rubber, I don't know what to call them, nipples that the bulb fit in. There's 2 of them. There's one on either side. You slip the lamps out, slip your new lamps in, wire everything up, just reverse the process. And as a quick and dirty heads up here, leave the radio right side up. That way all the washers that are on all the screws end up hanging in the correct place for you to merely slip this puppy right back in. And let me put these wires back up here where they belong before we do that. Hang on. Okay, I can't. The wire's back in their little retainer. We just carefully slip the VFO back in here. We just have to maneuver that around a little bit to give us some room. And with the radio right side up, the washers will be hanging down. That VFO will slip right back into the slotted holes. Then we can flip the radio over, tighten those screws, plug the connector back in, and the lamps in the VFO section have been changed. Okay, with fresh lamps in the VFO, now it's time to turn our attention to the S meters, or the 2 meters in the front. It's real simple. You remove the 2 screws that are here on the top. Easy for me to say. There, that one's out. And remove the other one. Now the meters just pull back and out. And you can see there's 2, I don't know what to call them. They're common meter lamps, but this size I'm having difficulty locating, so I'm going to convert this over to LED. To get to them, pop the faces on the 2 meters, just slide your thumbnail under the top here, and they'll flip open. Carefully flip this down. Now you have access to the lamps. You can work on them. Just be careful not to damage the meter movements. Put everything back together, just the reverse of how it came apart. Job done. It's that simple. I'm the radio mechanic. Hope somebody out there found this useful. It made your FT102 lamp change a little less scary. Take care. See ya.